Hi, I'm Sabrina Register, Comcast Neighborhoods. Welcome to South Lake Union, a neighborhood that is undergoing a big transformation with bistros, businesses, and tenants all moving in. Lake Union behind me got its name in the mid-1800s after settler Thomas Mercer decided that it was only a matter of time that a canal united Puget Sound to the west and Lake Washington to the east. Today, this area is a haven of maritime activity. Join us as we explore the Center for Wooden Boats. We'll also learn about some historic ships that once sailed these waters. And not content to stay on the water, we will take flight for a bird's eye view of Lake Union. It's all in Neighborhoods. South Lake Union is a bustling scene. Hurried drivers trying to get where they're going, while the South Lake Union tram hums along, transporting people to and from downtown. But if you slow the pace and savor the scenery, you'll find the neighborhood is yours for the taking, to discover new experiences, even rediscover ones that you didn't realize you missed.
Watch the front of the boat, and when the front of the boat starts to move, then I can ease it back.
Activity takes on many forms at the Center for Wooden Boats, which has called South Lake Union home since the early 1980s.
We've just watched the neighborhood grow up around us, because when we came here it was kind of industrial and a little sketchy. I look at the pictures and I go, wow.
From the early 80s to present day, the center's mission has stayed the same: to preserve Northwest maritime heritage.
Our whole purpose for being here is to make sure that the history of small craft in the Northwest continues, both the craft themselves, but also just the experience of getting out on the water.
Whether it's educating school children through special field trips,
There's your stuff, thank you.
workshops on boat building, maintenance, repair, and varnishing, or renting a rowboat or sailboat and giving it a go.
That's also part of the experience that we're trying to preserve, because 100 years ago, if you wanted to go out on the lake or out on the water, there were lots of liveries that looked kind of like the Center for Wooden Boats. You'd go down to the waterfront and pay a few cents and take a boat out. Well, today there are very few places you can do that around here, and no places where you'll find this collection of historic wooden boats where you can do it.
Not sure you're ready to row or tack? On Sundays, the center offers free public sails. Volunteer skippers take passengers out on one of the larger historic vessels. On land, artist-in-residence Sadoots carves native canoes, which are then gifted to tribes. Young ones are given the opportunity to get involved in this unique boat making. Also built at the center, these pond boats. On Sundays, the center encourages visitors to try pond boat sailing, a pastime that was popular back in the 20s and 30s. While summer is a popular time at the center, especially during the Wooden Boat Festival in early July, there's maritime activity year-round, and a few sprinkles won't spoil the fun. Walk a few steps to the water and you'll see history, lots of it, moored here. We start with the Arthur Foss, an historic tugboat with a prominent past.
It's currently the oldest, as far as we know, the oldest floating wooden tugboat in the U.S. It was built in 1889 down in Portland. It was built the same year that Washington became a state. So it's fun because its life tracks the lifeline of the state of Washington.
The Foss gave a lift to prospectors during the Klondike Gold Rush in the late 1800s. She was also the last ship to survive Wake Island during the Pearl Harbor invasion in World War II. In 1989, the tug was designated a National Historical Landmark. Renovating it has been a labor of love for the nonprofit Northwest Seaport.
Part of it is preservation and the historical aspects of the ship. The other side is public service, and is try to open the ships up to people as much as possible. We do things like technical training so people can start a career ladder into the maritime industry, fun activities for kids.
Northwest Seaport is also restoring the last remaining lightship with the steam plant still in it, the Swiftsure. Look for it to be open for tours in September. Another ship steeped in history is the Virginia 5.
Virginia 5 was built in 1922. It is one of only 2 vessels of its type still in operation in the continental United States. It is a National Historic Landmark and a National Historic Site.
Crafted in the Pacific Northwest from Douglas fir, the steamer once ran between Tacoma and Seattle, making stops along the route to pick up farmers and bring them to market. The Beauty still boasts her original hardware.
The engine on board is a triple expansion, double action steam engine. Was built about the turn of the century. It is still operational. It was rebuilt after 105 years in operation.
In addition to weddings and corporate events, the Virginia 5 hosts public cruises a few times a year. Another good time to check out the Virginia 5 and also support a worthy cause is on Thursdays, when the Farm Boat Floating Market is aboard.
This kind of goes back to the days when people would have boats and they would take it to little communities around the Pacific Northwest. People could go onto the boats, buy fresh produce, and then take it home from there. So this is kind of an adaptation of that.
While not historic, the Fremont Avenue boat, also known as the Ice Cream Cruise boat, is a great way to spend an hour on Lake Union. Captain Larry Kesner provides colorful commentary during a 45-minute tour of Lake Union and its floating homes.
We're running Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the summertime, but we run Sunday year-round. And we do parties. People rent the boat for family events, primarily birthdays and anniversaries.
Maybe you're wondering why it's affectionately known as the Ice Cream Cruise boat. Larry?
My mother took me on one of the last trips on the ferry from Madison Park to Kirkland in 1950. She decided that she would take me to Kirkland for ice cream on the ferry.
Once you decide between a chocolate, root beer, or strawberry cream float, sit back and let Captain Larry entertain you. At South Lake Union, the buzz of activity doesn't just stay on the water, it takes flight.
Seaplanes have been a part of Lake Union since 1914, and so it's hard to imagine Lake Union without seaplanes. Whenever you see a picture or a painting of Lake Union, there's usually a Kenmore Air de Havilland Beaver in the background somewhere. We're definitely a strong part of the South Lake Union neighborhood.
Kenmore Air is a busy place, so busy, it's regarded as the busiest seaplane base in the continental U.S. Flights run year-round to the San Juans and Victoria. Their beavers and otters fly the BC coast to as far away as Port McNeil during the busy summer months.
We'll have people literally from all around the world coming to fly Kenmore Air.
You don't need a destination as an excuse to get a bird's eye view of Seattle. Kenmore Air also offers flight seeing excursions.
Seattleites are amazed once they're up in the air just how much water there is to see in Seattle that there is. People are also, especially people who live around Lake Union, they see the seaplanes all day long and they finally say, you know what, today's the day we're going to go up in the air, and they come back and they're just thrilled that they did it.
While seaplanes have been a fixture on Lake Union Park was completed just last fall, even though it had been an idea for more than a century.
When John Olmsted prepared the Seattle Park Plan in 1903, he really had a desire to locate a park at the south end of Lake Union. But at that time, there was a very major sawmill on this site, and this was really an industrial area, so the land was unaffordable.
The vision was finally realized after a series of land acquisitions by the city beginning in the 1970s, and strong commitment by the Seattle Parks Foundation in 2003. After 3 years of construction, the park is now complete and contains different elements, including a 300-foot-long interactive fountain, model boat pond, terraced steps at the lake's edge, and a history trail.
So as you walk around the park, you'll see markers that talk about the history of this area and how it developed over time. There are elements that celebrate the flora and the fauna. There are elements that celebrate the environmental history of the area.
And moving in next to the park in 2012, the Museum of History and Industry, or MOHI.
If you connect up the History Trail, Center for Wooden Boats, the historic ships, and MOHI, there's really going to be a complete picture of the history of this area, and people will be able to really understand how Seattle developed.
South Lake Union, a neighborhood that's transforming and welcoming visitors to see exciting changes taking place. For Neighborhoods, I'm Sabrina Register.